Hi, and welcome to another edition of Enlightened Espresso. I'm Chris St. Hilaire. I'm with Master Heng Chang. So today we wanted to talk a little bit about this concept of aloneness in Buddhism, because so much of the last 2 years in the entire world has spent in isolation and with limited family or sometimes very much alone. And Buddhism has a teaching about aloneness and the importance of that in spiritual growth and in ultimately connecting with others. Can you talk about being alone and your journey? I know you spent some time in seclusion.
Thank you for asking. Aloneness is different from loneliness. We all know that. The way the Buddhist practice is always we remember and always we have to remind ourselves, I am the light. And the light itself it's a lone source. It doesn't recline anything. It's just the heart that shining the lights. So that by definition, when we say I am alone, actually it's that I am the light. And therefore, not much different between being with people or being with self. There's not much in the context of the Buddhist concept of how we cultivate than being alone. You shine the lights, and that shining that light is to penetrate through all the stage of darkness in ourselves. There's many stages of darkness. But when we are not being with ourselves, meaning we go and now open our eyes and walk out and be with people, then we're still shining the lights. And shining the lights now have a different name. It's no longer called the light, it's called love. It's called compassion, it's called empathy. And so being with others and being with self, inherently, the different will be when we're not the light. When we're not the light, we'll be with the ego, with these shallows and self, or we take it on here, then we say, oh yeah, I'm very alone, I'm very unhappy, I want to connect with people, I want to do this. And the concept of connectedness seems to arise from avoiding this feeling of loneliness, feeling alone, right? And so that's the concept that we call the Buddhist concept. If you be the light, then regardless, be with you yourself or be with others, the light always shining. The light doesn't think that, oh yeah, it's different between here and there.
Help me though, because so when you're forced to be alone, right, and there could be a sense of panic, a sense of anxiety about that.
That's because you're not the light.
Give me some ways to become the light.
Let me tell you my experience.
Sure.
I left my temple in 1998, and I went to Hawaii, and I was in seclusion and being myself there. At the first 6 months, I was very depressed and shocked because I cannot be with the Sangha, with the group that I used to be. I lost all the connections, connectivity, the connectedness that I lost. I beat myself. And I was really depressed in the way that I don't know how to get out of it. And it doesn't matter how I try to do things, this thing, I study the sutra, I study exercise, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because the concept is not, I am not the light. I never identify myself as the light. So I identify myself as the title, the position as a monk. I identify myself as one in the nexus that connect with all the other people, but I never realized I am the light. So after 6 months, I got into some exercise. And this exercise is very interesting because when I do the exercise, I have this very specific name of the exercise called the frog, that I jump from the bottom of the well, jump out of the bottom of the well. And when I do that exercise, the energy seemed to go from the bottom of my body, go straight up, and my eyes open up. So I was in that state for quite a while. I sit in meditation after my exercise, and I can experience, wow, this is the clarity, this is the brightness within. And suddenly I realized that regardless of where I be, if I am that brightness within, the clarity, the illumination within, then it doesn't matter. And I start to be happy just being the light. So that's the beginning of my journey. And after many years, by identifying myself with that source of light, then I realized that I'm not getting depression being alone. And I don't feel losing the connection with people. The connectedness seemed to be built in within that identification that I am the light. And so I keep exercising, I keep doing meditation, but my meditation now have a different twist. It's focused on being the light. Now it's very lucky because the sutra that I follow taught me that, hey,
the sutra is the teachings.
yeah, the sutra is the teaching. The Buddhist teaching is said that, hey, you need to cultivate the seed of light. And the seed of light, I cultivate it, and it turned out that you put the seed in different locations of the body so you can focus better. And I put it in the heart center, then I connect with my heart better. And I learned that, oh, yeah, love doesn't mean that I had to possess someone, but just to send that kindness, the feeling of kindness to that person, then I connect with that person better. And therefore, when you ask, okay, what do you feel being alone? It turned out that being alone is being the light, learning how to shine the lights. So when we connect with people, that light really connect with everyone. And when we don't connect with people, like the sun's still shining. It doesn't mean that the sun need to have the Earth, the Mars, and all the Venus, all those planets in order to shine. No, it doesn't need to.
It says, though, that you used the word turned out, that I felt this way, which means that at the beginning, you likely felt the same anxiety that a lot of us did in isolation.
Exactly.
So even a monk will go through that process?
Absolutely correct.
And so tell me...
So the switch is
the transition.
The switch is when I identify myself as the light within me. That's a switch.
You can't just, can you just say it? Or how do you begin to feel that? Talk me through that transition. Like, how do you get from loneliness, anxiety, right? All those things that come with, for the first time for many of us, being totally alone to that sense of peace.
Yes. And that begins with something very physical, the exercise that I have done to release me from this blockage that the mind and the body is so into one. So the body-mind, the body and the mind, you write them together, it's stuck together. We didn't realize that the body and the mind affect each other so deeply. So when I hit the body with the exercise that release my energy, release the grip of being, the mind being so strong, and in the anxiety, in the fear being alone, when it releases that energy, and then suddenly the brain, this is totally the brain word, the brain field release. And from there, I think that the break, that is a very deep break, and I have to say that it had the root in the physical exercise. But now I teach everyone else to do the same, but not only the physical exercise, I can ask people to follow the seed of light, meaning to focus on the seed of light. Mm-hmm. And by full focus on seed of light, people can get the same result. They don't need to go through the exercise I experienced. So that's
did that happen slowly, or was it more like a lightning bolt, an epiphany?
A thunderbolt.
It just came to you.
Hit you, and then you busted.
And then you were able to break through and start to feel more peaceful when you were alone?
Exactly. Now, that leading you your question is probably, if someone who feels so lonely and so disconnected, right? What do you do? It's the best thing I would advise you physically. Exercise, certain exercise, yoga, stretching, do that. And at the same time, also work on the mind. And the way that in the Buddhist teaching that we need to meditate on the seed of light to realize that we have all inside. We need to open that heart and mind.
We all have that
seed, that potential.
That wholeness.
Potential. Okay. But to open that up, it has a way to do it. And the way to do it is to, for example, sit and focus and believe that, okay, I need to focus on here. I need to breathe. Breathing is life. I have to bring life into that seed. And I have to let go of everything, and so that seed can grow. But if I'm running after every single thing around me, then I don't give enough time for the seed to grow. See? So at the end of the day, we need to sit, spend time for that seed to grow.
Sit, be still.
Be still.
Let your mind slow down.
Exactly.
And focus, which is where meditation begins to become the focus.
Right. Yeah.
Of the focus.
Of the focus.
So
and we become that focus too. We become the light. So whatever we focus on, that object, finally is exactly what we become. If we focus on the light, then we become the light. And the beauty is the light is within us. The light is our intelligence, our awareness. The light is our compassion. And the object of our focus, also compassion, also the light, also the intelligence. So the beauty is the subject and objects have the same nature.
And so being alone, I guess over the long run, is really important to that spiritual growth.
Very, very precisely. Why we need to be alone? So we can have time to focus on that potential, to unfold that seed of wholeness. But if we're not alone, we engage. There's no respite. There's no moment of come back. Then we're just being completely drawn into all this multitude of confusion.
So as we come to a close here, help me. Let me give you an example. Help viewers. Like, give me an example. I'm alone tonight, and I say, okay, I've watched this. I want to get started, and I'm feeling that anxiousness. How do I begin to get rid of that? And give me some first steps, down that path.
Do 5 minutes of stretching. Just relax with your hands, whatever is stretching. 5 minutes yoga, for example, 5-10 minutes. Get some sweat, and then you sit quietly. Focus. Close your eyes. Focus on the heart center. Right here, center of sternum. Breathe in. Slowly breathe in so your body can be very, very, very settled. And then when your body and your mind settle, you keep breathing into the heart. One way is we usually do, like we can have good thoughts. But for us, we have very specific, we call the seed of light. And it had the shape and the form like this, the va. So we can focus on that seed, and then we just breathe into it. And when you breathe in, and we breathe out, we think that from va, the warmness expand, the kindness expand from that. That's very easy. You can do it in 15-20 minutes, and you can see how the body energy, the mental energy change immediately in 20 minutes.
So what I hear, much of what you talk about is the spirit of giving, the light shine outward, it's positive thoughts towards
Very
others.
good.
It's all of those things, and I know we'll touch on that on another episode. So thank you so much for joining me today on Enlightened Espresso.